Harry and Meghan, do you believe them? I have Tatiana here today, and we're going to talk about, all the stuff with Harry and Meghan. Let's get into the video. Tatiana, nice to have you on again.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me this story with Meghan and Harry.
Well, from what I've understood, last night, Meghan and Harry and Meghan's mother, Doria, they were in New York, where Meghan accepted a Women of Vision award. And it was actually their first public appearance together since the coronation. And as they were leaving the event, they got into a convoy to go back to their hotel, and their spokesperson says the story that they were chased by paparazzi, and they were involved in a, quote, high-speed chase for 2 hours in New York City. And reports say that at some point they got out of their convoy, they got into a regular yellow cab and then got back into other cars, and that they were constantly chased by paparazzi in a very aggressive way. And nobody was injured, no bystanders or themselves, but they were left shaken. They said they were left shaken, and that it could have been a very, very dangerous, serious situation, and they wanted to make everyone aware of that.
And so, but it wasn't last night. It was on Tuesday night, right?
Oh my gosh, yes, it was. You know, me and you were every different time zones and everything. Yes, it was right. Tuesday night. My bad.
Tuesday night. Okay. And so there's a lot going on, and we talked about it very briefly, but there's a lot going on, and I see the way that this story is being covered by different media outlets. And I know in the UK, it's the way that things are reported internationally is different, right? But what is very clear in America is that sort of like right-wing, Trump supporting, Andrew Tate supporting, white supremacist types, they are against Harry and Meghan. But the sort of the left, which is kind of just like, the left is more unbiased. You're going to have people like on the extreme left, like MSNBC, who are just more obviously pandering to, okay, whatever, you know, the way they reported it is like anything Harry and Meghan say, okay, sure, we believe it. Then you have like the Breakfast Club, which they're black people don't care. So they're just like, okay, yeah, whatever, let's just report how it is, whatever. And then you just have like that spectrum, right? You know. So let me know, like, what are people saying, I guess, from the news outlets that you're watching internationally?
So yeah, I do follow international news outlets, especially the BBC. And well, they are reporting the incidents as they are, but it seems as though they are interviewing the cab driver that drove them, and like they had an excerpt from the mayor of New York. And well, obviously the BBC tries to be as neutral as possible, and they say that for like the cab driver says that yes, it was an intense chase, but it wasn't that bad. And the
but that's the same car driver. That car driver has made his rounds on every publication, from NBC to Piers Morgan to everywhere, and in every platform. So this is what is interesting to me, right? Because I actually listen to the source and I read, or I hear what the source says, and I hear how it's being reported that he said. So they specifically take excerpts out of what they say to make it sound some type of way. Like the New York City mayor, and maybe I'll play what he actually said.
You know, it's clear that the press, paparazzis, you know, they want to get the right shot, they want to get the right story. But public safety must always be at the forefront. The briefing I received, you know, 2 of our officers could have been injured. New York City is different from a small town somewhere. You shouldn't be speeding anywhere, but this is a densely populated city. And I think all of us, I don't think there's many of us who don't recall how his mom died, and it would be horrific to lose an innocent bystander during a chase like this, and something to have happened to them as well. So I think we have to be extremely responsible. I thought that was a bit reckless and irresponsible. No, I'm going to be brief in depth later on today, and to give the exact time frame of how long. I would find it hard to believe that there was a 2-hour high-speed chase. That would be, I find it hard to believe, but we will find out the exact duration of it. But if it's a 10-minute chase is extremely dangerous in New York City.
But if you listen to what he actually said, you heard it on the Breakfast Club. He basically was like, okay, yeah, it's possible, right? It's unlike the part that is unlikely is at New York City and a high-speed chase. That's the part that's unlikely. Anyone, as I was born in New York, I'm a New Yorker, I know that that's not likely, right? That part is just, unless you're on the highway.
Exactly.
But 2 hours, I don't know, right? But Charlemagne the God and what's his name were in the area because their office is in the area. And they said paparazzi were acting crazy. They were bumping into cars, you know. So I don't know if you meant high-speed chase on ground and they were running or if they mean high-speed chase, in the highway. I don't know which one they mean, but it's definitely not in New York City, right? But at the same time, you have to understand that this boy lost his mother at age 10 to the same thing. And he's, driven through the tunnel, experienced whatever his mom went through. And we can't deny that the paparazzi are hounding them.
The paparazzi
that's one thing that comes
them,
back.
but Clement, forgive me for interrupting you, but in the U.S., like this paparazzi aggressiveness that you just mentioned, I'm sure it happens to all big famous people. I'm sure.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Happen to the Kardashians?
No. So actually, the Kardashians call the press, and give them tips of where they are. So it's different. That's why, like, a lot of what you're saying is like it's funny because, when you like, the Kardashians the Kardashians are seeking attention. This is a strategic thing, right? Even up to the Rihannas, the Kim Kardashians, or the Beyoncés, they sought this life out. They sought out fame. This boy was born into it. Like, there's a difference. Like how Blue Ivy and what's her name, Northwest does not understand why the paparazzi are she didn't ask for this life. This boy, this man, he's a man now, he was born into this shit. And in the UK, because there are no celebrities, I know so many people in the UK that I won't say so many, but I know celebrities, like A-list celebrities that are from the UK that had to leave the UK because of the harassment with the paparazzi, specifically towards black people, right? So the harassment that celebrities even face in the UK, because there's nobody that's like really like famous like that, right? So people have to just kind of like, even Ed Sheeran was saying it in a BBC interview, like the way, like he was just talking about how the dynamics are being rich and famous in the UK. It's just not a place where, that's the lifestyle you're supposed to really have, right? And so with Harry and Meghan, to go as far, okay, anyway, sure, let me hear, because like there are a lot of people that have commented Andrew Tate, disrespecting them or whatever, all these publications. Let me hear your take on this.
Where I agree with you that Harry did not choose this life, and he's probably very traumatized by what happened to his mother, and rightly so, of course. Him and his brother are probably very traumatized by anything involving cars and accidents. But where I don't agree with you is that I do believe that Meghan is looking for that attention and has been looking for that attention since she got married to Harry. And now I might go a completely separate direction, but I think that because she didn't find the level of fame or power that she did when she married him, because she was kind of compressed by the palace and the institution, and that she felt that it was the selfish thing to do for her to have left the family and do what they're doing today.
So this is where I don't agree, because she's been very specific about or outlining the racism that she has received, from the press. And again, the UK press, the UK is a very racist country.
No, there's no denying this. I agree.
And so the thing about it is the way that, when I say they're racist, it's not in the way that Americans are overtly racist. It's very covert. So that's why it's like, it's harder to spot it. But where you do see it is when you are actually a black celebrity out there and on that A-list level, the harassment. And so and as much as we have to understand, as much as a lot of people will argue that Meghan Markle is not black, a lot of people will argue that, we have to remember, even in America, who created colorism? Who created the one-drop rule that excluded people like Meghan Markle from being white? It was the white supremacists. So at the end of the day, when they say, for the royal family, which represent the pinnacle of white supremacy, when you talk about them at the top, at the end of the day, she's too black for them. And so they're going to say, at the end of the day, the press, they're going to hound her around that. And yes, there's a difference between the public, the general public, and how they operate, and the media and how the media operates. Because a lot of people don't realize that the media actually controls you with propaganda. It's the tool. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think, with her seeking this, yes, Meghan Markle definitely sought out the life, the same way that Rihanna, the same way that everybody that's famous sought out this life. Meghan Markle is an actor. She wasn't born into it. She sought this out. Sure, absolutely. But there's one thing on one end, you know, she's being treated in a certain way, which we all witnessed it. You know, we all witnessed the, you know, all the overt racism, like calling her from, like she's from Compton. She's like all this disgusting things that they were saying about her.
It was disgusting,
right.
Yeah.
So we cannot deny that. Now, to me, it's like there's so many components to this. I understand why they needed to go and write the book, even though maybe some people don't agree with that method. Some people might not agree with it, which is fine. But I think it's not your life, right? It's not you that has to pay for your bills.
That's true.
Like for me, as far as when it comes to paying for my bills, I don't give a shit what anybody has to say about the means at which I pay my bills. That's not your business, right? So for him, he knows the lifestyle that he's been born into and he's been used to. And his father tells him, or the senior family, royal family tell him that they're not going to pay for that. Well, it's just like any other, this happens everywhere. You don't pay, well, you pay in another way. You pay by the easiest ways to go to the press. And who else is going to offer Harry $100 million, $130 million? Who is offering that for doing what? It's a tell-all.
Yeah, but does he need $100 million so quickly?
Well, if he knows the lifestyle,
like
people think $100 million is a lot of money in that, and it's not in that lifestyle. Think about the way the paparazzi is harassing him. Think about the security that he has to have in place to prevent that from happening for the rest of his life and his children's life.
Why is he living in LA? He was gonna go live in Canada in a village house in Vancouver. Let him go back there.
LA is not, they're very quiet in LA. We don't hear from them. I didn't really, Meghan is from LA, so it makes sense. I would want to go home, right? And LA, like the paparazzi is not harassing them in LA, which is funny. This is why it's funny and interesting. Because in LA, where the paparazzi are known to harass people, they are not harassing Meghan and Harry in LA. But ironically, in New York City, that's where they're harassing them. Where New York City pops, I don't know them to be, harassing people like that. That's LA. So for me, it's interesting that it's in New York City just after a week or two after the coronation. There's a correlation here. So there are a lot of these conspiracy theories. I don't really buy into the conspiracy theories around, like, what's her name? Diana being killed by the royals. But I will say this. I played a video. I uploaded a video that talks about the history of violence in the British royal family. And it's history repeating itself. This is how they treat themselves. They kill themselves. This is what they do historically.
Yes, but
I'm not saying that they'll do it now, but historically, but go on.
No, but okay, so let me try to give you a clear example of what I'm saying. At the end of the day, I think what you are talking about the fight against racism and the ideas that white supremacists have implemented in people, you are talking about the good fight in general. But I have a hard time believing that Meghan Markle, specifically herself, is fight. Like, I think you are speaking of the general idea that we wish that this was the case, but I don't think that this is the case. And also, she married into this family. She is now publicly going against, at the end of the day, yes, they are the royal family. We call them the royal family because we're outsiders, but to her, it's her brother-in-law and her father-in-law. It's not just
who are racist towards her,
sitting in a palace that you and I don't know. This is her.
Who are racist towards her?
Only
who are racist to her? Don't forget that she almost tried to kill herself. If you're going from a place where you almost try to kill yourself, if you're going from a place where you're almost trying to kill yourself, just think about it as a human being.
Oh, come on.
No, but just hear me right. If you're coming from a place where you're about to kill yourself,
I think that was
what is your limit?
To say that,
why is that manipulative if that's the truth?
She says in the documentary that she thought about killing herself, and the only thing that kept her going was thinking of Harry. Oh my God, that's for me.
Which is
That's
normal.
such a
That sounds so
manipulative thing
normal.
to say. Like I didn't
That
kill
sounds so
myself,
normal.
thank because of you. Without it's so like putting this
No, it's
emotional
not.
pressure on him.
Or how about the fact that she was about to kill herself? Like it's so funny to me how when it's somebody else, right, that hasn't or selective outrage or bias, right? If it's somebody that says that they're suicidal, right, and all of a sudden everybody's supposed to care that that person is suicidal, but because Meghan Markle says she's suicidal, oh well, you have money. Oh well, you went to go and chase the royal family. Oh well, you're black. Really, that's really what they want to say. Oh well, you're black, so we don't care. To me, it doesn't work like that.
To me,
To
it's
me, it
not
doesn't
about
work
that.
like
It's
that.
about because she said I didn't go through with it because of you, Harry. For me, the bad part is not. I mean, of course, it's horrible when anybody has any suicidal thoughts, but to say, "Oh, but I didn't go through with it because of you." Can you
Because of
imagine
the person
pressure
I
this
love.
puts
Like,
on
do you know what I
Harry?
mean? It's not about the pressure you put. At the end of the day, look, you have to understand, right? If somebody's going to kill themselves, there are plenty of people that I'm sure might be watching right now that can relate to this. I know people that are suicidal. I know some people that have actually killed themselves. And there is some people there, it doesn't take, it might just take like, oh, I have children. There are people that legitimately kill themselves when they have children. Now, is that not terrible?
Of
As
course.
opposed to someone that says, "Oh, I hung on because I have someone to live for." Like as far as it being manipulative, whatever like the case is, like this is like a personal opinion of her that I don't know, because like to me, I don't know her personally, so I'm
Neither
not
do
going
I.
to use that. Right, so I'm not going to use that to judge her person and her character, because if she's a narcissist, fair enough. Like, fair enough. Like, if I meet her and I say this woman's narcissist, because I know narcissists, right? And I know there's manipulation tactics that they use. And I know actors, the way actors are, when you meet them in real life, they're so freaking, some of them like crazy. So I get it, right? But I don't know her personally to make that assertion that this woman is a narcissist and she's this scheming, the way that the media has depicted her as this scheming, plotting, unlikable, all these, nasty things. To me, it's just the villainization of a black woman that we see time and time again in the media. And the irony for me is that because she's not actually black in a way that black people will even like claim her, that's why she doesn't really have support from the black community, because when we see her, we don't see a black person. That's a white person to me. But for the white people, she's not black. She's not white
But
enough.
Kenim, let me ask you, as a black person yourself, do you feel like she's actually fighting the fight for black women? Do you genuinely feel that she is?
I don't
pushing
think that.
people
I don't
forward?
think that anybody. I don't think that anybody it's anybody's role to fight the fight, right? I don't think that.
That she won an award against institutional racism. She's winning awards for it.
Well, at the end of the day, look, if she calls out the racism in the white supremacist pinnacle of white supremacy royal family, absolutely, like she's played her part. But I don't think that when you say fighting the fight, everybody has a role to play. And if it's like exposing, and to be honest, that's really what it is. That's what it comes down to. Like, because the thing about white supremacists, and a lot of people, I say a lot of people are not, a lot of people don't really understand the way the media manipulates you, right? Towards supporting things that you don't even realize that you're supporting. This hatred for Meghan Markle, this way that she's being depicted by all these people, there's an agenda behind it, and there's a funding behind it, billions of dollars funded behind it, of propaganda against her, specifically because she was a threat to the pinnacle of white supremacy, the royal family, that a lot of people just don't even realize that they're consuming or they're participating in, because it's a brainwashing on the back of her.
Maybe I'm speaking more superficially on what I saw in the documentary and in Harry's book Spare. So, okay, maybe...
Because this is what I'm saying, right? This is what I'm saying. You have to be because the way that marketing works and the way that propaganda works, it's very subliminal, to the effect that there's the people participate in what is called like social loafing. When there's sort of this sort of mob mentality, because more people are doing it, people just sort of like
for example,
cave in and participate.
The Netflix series, they were heavily involved in it. And I want to remind you of a scene. There's a scene, I think, in one of the first few episodes where she's, by coincidence, driving past the Hollywood Bowl, and she looks at it and she's like, I remember when I graduated from there in I don't know what year. Oh, and by the way, that day we were pulling out of the parking and a racial slur was yelled at my mom. Didn't you feel that
Okay.
this was so inorganic and she's just trying to...
No.
Oh gosh, I felt like it was so placed there
No.
to push her
No.
as like
No.
the
At the end of the
hero
day,
for black women.
no. No. Nobody's pushing her as a hero for black women.
Didn't you feel
Yeah.
that like all of this inserting of these things in the documentary was so inorganic and just a way for her to push her agenda as like being the woman of vision and fighting the... And also when Harry after in interviews after his book was released was asked, but you called the royal family racist? He's like, no, we just called it...
Well, they didn't. Did he say the word? Did he use the
Yeah,
word
but
that
they
my
let
family's
people
racist?
believe for 2 full
No.
years. that
Well,
this
okay,
is-
hold on. Let's break this down
Yes.
because I make documentaries, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, let's break this down.
Yes.
First of all, Meghan Markle being positioned as the protagonist in her documentary, that is what documentaries do. She is the protagonist in that documentary. Her and what's his name. So it like the funny thing is that when you watch a documentary about some basketball player, how he rose to fame, there's no issue with him being the protagonist in that story. But when it's Meghan Markle that's the protagonist in the documentary about her life and how she married her husband and why she left the royal family, oh no, she's manipulating. That's exactly, there's a story structure that we use in all what do you call it, works that follows a person's life that positions them as the protagonist of the story. That is what they're supposed to do. Now, as far as Meghan Markle is concerned, for the black community, if she did not acknowledge her race, that would have been a big problem. In America, as a black person, you cannot not acknowledge your race. As a media, and anybody that, because when you don't do that, because of the nature of and the overt white supremacy in this country, and the sort of like erasure, right, of or like white supremacy works in a tactic of denying, deflecting, and gaslighting, right? And so if you then don't like ignore it, and you're serving white supremacy in that. So she didn't have a role. She had to show exactly where she stands as far as race, and because she's racially ambiguous, and black people will not claim her as race as in America they will claim her as black, right? But in Africa we're not claiming her as black. In many countries we're not going to claim her as black. But the reason why America will claim her as black is because of the one drop law in white supremacy that says if you have one drop of black in you, you're black, you're not white. So that's the thing. So at the end of the day, she has to explain her relationship around race. And her saying that, look, when I grew up, I didn't know I wasn't treated like a black. Yes, that's her truth. There's so many people like that. Is it her fault now? Because she's not black presenting. Is it her fault? That she doesn't experience it. There's this weird issue around light-skinned people and within colorism, because yes, they benefit from white privilege, but still they are not allowed in the doors when it's with white people. That's the system that was created. So at the end of the day, it's even in America, right? Arabs are officially white. If you fill any forms in America, because they're trying to inflate their numbers, if you fill any form that's official, under white, it will say European, North African, Middle East, right? But Arabs do not benefit from, some do, depending on how light-skinned you are. But Arabs do not, or how non-Muslim you are, as long as you're not Muslim. But Arabs do not benefit fully from white privilege, especially after the war on Islam. So at the end of the day, with Meghan Markle, yes, absolutely. Like, she has to acknowledge where she stands with her race. If she didn't do that, she would have done a disservice to herself. And that's just not what her story is, because her mother is visibly black,
But I just feel like it was all opportunistic at the right moment that it suited her. Because at that moment, it suited her to do this.
So this is my take, right? This is my take on the thing, right? At the end of the day, look, she joins this family. Yes, I see the opportunist nature when she's entering the family, as everybody, including Kate, anybody that's marrying into the royal family, they're an opportunist.
And also, she
Yeah.
should have known that. I'm sure she knew what Kenim. She didn't go to school. She doesn't know the basic history.
And whatever, who cares? Like, at the end of the day, look, people are opportunists. Rihanna is an opportunist. Beyonce is an opportunist. Like, if you really want to come down to it, right? But some people are allowed to be
Yes, but they
opportunists
don't throw their
in
family
in
under
the court
the
of.
bus as their.
But their family do not have the power to manipulate them or diminish them and restrict them. Like, I think people also have to understand what it is. Maybe some people don't understand what it is to be in a gilded cage, whereby, okay, now we've let you in the family, we've given you this wedding, we downplayed your dress because we really didn't want you to outshine Kate, even though you still outshine her, right? We've given you all these things, but now you guys are not. It's like you guys are ungrateful because what did he say? Never complain, never explain. If we watch Diana leave that terrible situation because of even Diana was an opportunist, right? If you really want to go into it, right? When we look at Diana and her even entering, she knew what she was doing. Why did she enter the family? That you could argue the same with all the women that marry into their family. Then who will they marry? Because every single last one of them, Kate was a freaking opportunist herself, coming from a commoner, nobody background, trying to marry into the royal family. So why is it Meghan that there's an issue with her? How dare she be an opportunist because she has black blood? Period.
No, because I think she threw her in-laws so badly under the bus.
Well, at the end of the day, when you make it difficult for somebody to leave in an amicable way, number one, and then you now remove their funding, so they have to now figure out how they're going to pay for their lifestyle. That is because of they're in this family that they have to pay for this type of lifestyle in the first place, because the security is the main thing, right? The security is the main. You have to be able to afford that security for the. Could you know how many people that are YouTubers that have publicity that they're being stalked and being harassed because they're on YouTube? Like, come on, like they have to pay for the security, the attention they get.
Of wanting to keep their security and then leave and like not do any of the royal duties they're supposed to do. It's a situation of wanting to have your cake and eat it too. Like, no, we don't want to like participate in the royal life anymore, but we want security and we want full funding.
Look, it's not about that. It's at the end of the day, look, it's at the end of the day, look, you guys make it hard for us when we're in here. And like it is a traditional thing that the second daughter, what's her name, they all have the same issue. The second daughters all have the same issue. The difference is the era that we're living in, right? So he's like, look, I want to leave this thing, and let's not act like there wasn't a whole king that left that situation because he found an American woman that he fell in love with. Let's not act like this has not happened before and left and went to America. And that guy what's his name again? Who still went to go and join the British family again, tried to now try and take the throne back after he left. And joined the Nazi parties, but nobody was, but what did they do with that? They tried to hide that story. Nobody was outraged with him trying to join the Nazi party to overthrow the British royals, right?
I think today, yes. Today there is an outrage against that. Not at the time, but it's come out today.
Right, but that's my point. There's selective outrage because what Harry has done is exactly what his mother was doing. In fact. So to me, like, look, he said he wants to, you guys stop harassing her, stop throwing us under the bus, stop exposing us to the media. They said no. Okay, well, then we don't want to be part of this, right? And it's not about, if you're not part of it, you don't get paid. Okay, well, I need to pay for my lifestyle. How am I going to pay for, what's the low-hanging fruit for me to pay for my lifestyle? Somebody's offering me $100 million to pay for my lifestyle. You have to understand, there's a problem here with the fact that on one part, it's your family. On the other part, it's the position and the job.
I agree with
you. And those things are conflated. So as much as Charles may be, oh, that's my loving son, my dear, he does not separate the two. So why is it now Harry that's supposed to separate the two?
I think because at the end of the day, all of them come from a life of great privilege. And this is what they have to suffer for it. It is.
I think that's bullshit. I don't think that because you have come from privilege, you have to suffer. That's nonsense to me. That's absolutely
not like
nonsense.
That way.
That's so archaic.
Like what you're saying, like if I'm having a hard time like getting my words together, it sounds like wrong what I'm saying, but this is what, like, to live the life you want to live, this is what you have to do. This is your duty. This is the job. This is what you were born to do.
No, okay. So you've conflicted a lot of things there, right? He was born into this. He didn't choose this lifestyle. That's the first part. He was born into duty. which he left.
Yeah, but
right?
none of us are
So-
born in where we chose to be born. We all live.
Yeah, but the point is that we get to choose our careers. He was in a unique situation where he didn't get to choose his career. In fact, they're known for stopping the careers of second sons and second daughters.
Yeah, but
They blocked, like, what's her name had a life of purposelessness. What's her name? The Queen's
the
sister.
Queen sister.
All of them, the king, even him,
Margaret,
Margaret, and even all his brothers, they're purposelessness. They have no purpose, and it kills them.
Okay, but then
this
the
man-
whole royal family shouldn't exist.
But that's another conversation, which I agree
You're
with.
gonna think
But then also you have to look at like people are a product of their upbringing, and look at what Diana did. This Diana, who's let's really unpack this, right? Diana is an opportunist who, as a 19-year-old, she was an opportunist as a 19-year-old who, married into this family. Obviously, she was young and whatever, and she still tried to get the most she could get out of it. And what did she do when she left? She went to go find an Arab man that was a billionaire. Why did she go and find a billionaire man that's an Arab to go and date? Like this is to me it's so selective. And the fact that the way Diana left is the same way that Harry left. They're the same, that he is his mother's child. So why is it a problem that he left?
Because it's not a problem that he left. And by the way, I don't want any of your viewers or anyone to think that I'm defending the royal family. They're probably horrible people, and they're very likely racist and white supremacist, and I don't defend them at all. My issue is the public bashing of at the end of the day, your husband's family. And so
do you know how many people, excuse me, when it comes to your husband's family, like, do you know how many people would kill their in-laws, let alone public bashing of your husband's family? She has no obligation. She has no obligation to them if they were disrespectful to her. And like, there's so many people that deal with in-laws that know they're watching right now, and they know that they would kill their in-laws if they could. They wouldn't have to go to jail. So all she did was bash them publicly. There's worse that has been said and done. Trust me.
There is worse that has been said, but nobody, like, her in-laws are not like our regular in-laws. They're the huge institution.
Who cares? Who cares at the end of the day? I guess to me,
Maybe British people care.
It's
Well,
about
Americans probably
having
don't care.
proximity. Like, if you had proximity to people that are in powerful positions that abuse that power, I think maybe because I have a lot of proximity to people that have power and abuse that, and because of who they are, they think that they can treat you however they want to treat you, and you say, who the fuck are you? Fuck you and fuck off.
I think
Because I've experienced that in my real life. So yeah,
I think
whether it's in the UK or whatever, I've experienced people like that in my real life that I know that I would do the same. I would even have been worse than Meghan. Like, so to me, like, the way that people are bashing her, those motherfuckers, those motherfuckers. But anyway, go on.
No, I was gonna say, I think this is how we see the difference between the UK and the US, because the US does not see the importance of the royal family as people do in the UK. So this is why I think in America they're more likely to have your opinion, and whereas in the UK they're more likely to have mine.
I grew up in the UK, so at the end of the day, at the same time, it's, for me, what the waking up of it was learning the history of white supremacy and the UK's erasure of their participation in it, right? That's what they've done. They've masterfully done that. Completely erased and denied and deflected. That's why it seems like America is a more racist country than the UK, right? But in actuality, institutionally,
Yes,
the UK is far more racist.
Yes,
not just historically, presently. Like, I have so many friends, because I went to boarding school in the UK. So many friends that are not white that couldn't get jobs there because 50% of black men in the UK are unemployed. So they even just in the office place, there's no affirmative action to allow people that are not white to get work. There's so many areas like that proliferate, like racism proliferates, but because people are friendly and people are tolerable,
Yeah.
you get to say, oh, well, British people are not racist. Oh my God. But institutionally, the lack of opportunities that are given to other people and the way that they use other races, right? At the end of so when you look at the royal family, it's an institution, and they were just doing what they do best, to, a Meghan Markle. So I understand there's a in the UK there's a sort of, admiration or romanticization of the royals and the histories. I learned all the histories and all of that stuff, right? There's a romanticization of it, and I get that. And that's why a lot of people feed into the propaganda. They don't really understand the ugliness of what they are supporting.
But I think that what you are saying is extremely true, and like it's horrible issues that need to be tackled. But what I'm saying is I don't believe that Meghan Markle herself was trying to tackle any of this at all.
Why should she have to? That's not her role. Like why does she have to do that?
Herself, and why in the whole first 2 episodes of the documentary they talk about colonialism. She probably didn't even.
Well, because at the end of the day, look. The reason, let me explain this, right? This is a white woman. I'm sorry. In Africa, nobody's gonna call her. You live in Nigeria. You know that. She walks down the street in Nigeria. She's called white. That's a white woman that's walking around, right? But because of white supremacy, they've decided that we're not gonna allow you to be white. Now she decides that she operates in America, because America, like we have established, America wants to increase its white population, so it will accept anything that looks like it's almost white in like white. So the fact that they are called, like, you're Lebanese, right? The fact that they would call you white in America, does that even make sense to you?
No, it doesn't.
Right. In America, they will call you white because they want to increase their numbers. So Meghan Markle gets to join the party in America because she's passing enough. So she can, operate in that space here and not experience that she's as far as she knows, she's not really black. Okay, she has a black mother, but she doesn't get the experience of a black person, even in America, because she's not black. But when she comes into the UK, they know they're not going to allow, in the UK, do they allow you to call yourself white?
I mean, I can't speak from experience because I that hasn't happened to me.
But I'm saying, will they allow you call yourself white in the UK?
I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to that.
Okay, you do have lighter eyes. Maybe they might, but I don't know. I would say they probably won't if they hear that you're from Lebanon.
When they hear my name,
right.
no.
So that's what I'm saying. But maybe you can slightly pass, but at the end of the day, Arabs are not. Then they will. In fact, the French,
the
right.
Mohammeds and the Faisals and the Omars, they don't.
Right.
True, they don't.
Right, but because like the Jewish parts of or Lebanon, those like whiter passing parts of the Middle East, they can almost melt or merge or pass in but at the end of the day, in the UK you see like a real white person, like a freaking Ed Sheeran, red rosy cheeks or whatever. You see that shit there, right? So, and then the royal family is the pinnacle of white supremacy. They are the top echelon of it. So Meghan Markle coming into that space, you are not even, like, we can see that you're not one of us. We can see it.
You don't think that at the beginning they welcomed her? Like the queen was taking her out on events. She was sitting beside the queen. I think at the beginning they were... And
it wasn't about what they did. It's not about what they did personally. It's what they did behind the scenes. And it's the feeding the press the narratives. That's the part that ruined them.
Her father couldn't come to her wedding, so Charles
So I want to hear you. I want to hear what you have to say about this, because you said that Meghan Markle backstabbed them by exposing them to the media. But if, what's his name? Prince Charles has been doing that to them since the day she walked in. And they just basically returned the favor. Why are they the bad ones?
I feel like this is something that we don't know for a fact. It's what...
Or that they accuse them.
No, like that behind the scenes. I'm sure... I have no doubt that Meghan had a hard time. But I don't think she had a harder time than any other kind of outsider marrying into... another.
But that does not make it acceptable. That's my point. Like, I don't disagree with you, because I remember Camilla. Oh my God. All of them have had it. But this is the problem that I have, that they're saying that we had it hard, so suck it up and deal with it. Fuck you. No, I am not Kate. I'm not fucking Camilla. So I'm not going to take it. I'm American. As American, fuck you. Double fuck you.
No, you're right.
Who the fuck are you?
That's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened.
So that's really what it is, right? Like, yeah, in the UK they will take that type of bullshit and shut up, right, and accept it. At the end of the day, America is not the global superpower. Sorry, let's be frank. The UK is not a superpower, right? The UK is going to shit.
It is,
right?
After Brexit.
So at the end of the day, you're not a global superpower, the world's bully, by taking shit You don't do that. So yes, Camilla took it. Yes, what's her name took it. Yeah, they took the insults and it was bad. Oh my god. Yes, I will say fairly it was bad. There was a racial context with hers, right? That was excessive,
It was.
right?
It was.
You know, but at the end of the day, and that now unpacks other histories, right? It's more sensitive when it's racist, but at the end of the day, the others were still harassed equally, Diana, all of them. But that does not mean in 2023 that you have to continue to let this shit proliferate. It doesn't mean that.
Yeah, so Harry and Meghan have taken it upon themselves to fight against his own flesh and blood. And that's what I...
To break generational curses. Because let's not forget, I want to bring back the king that left for an America, and he did the same thing, but he did it in a time without social media and without control.
True.
So he didn't have a choice. But Harry is in and same as Diana. Harry's in a different time and a different era. And he's breaking a curse that you guys need to stop treating people like this, because these people come from killing their brothers and sisters to steal the throne. Let's not negate that.
And so his weapon of choice is to write a book where you read
do
the book
exactly what his father has been doing to him since Meghan came, since he was a child, since the father wanted to pick Camilla. He did exactly what his father, throwing him under the bus to the press. Now I hear you don't agree with that, or you made me think it's not true.
I don't know. I don't know the real answer. No.
So at the end of the day, he did talk about the press office, right? The press offices of the royal family and how they feed all this information to the whatever press. Why is Piers Morgan every freaking week? Or even the UK press, every week, how do you find something to talk about Harry and Meghan
Piers Morgan
when
is
nobody is talking about them?
sensationalist.
No, you know what I think? You know what I think? I think that they're on a retainership. Who knows? But I think they're on a retainership with the royal family, the press offices, to continue to keep their name in the press, because I do not understand why Piers every fucking week, nobody in America is talking about them. Why in the media every week in the UK nobody is talking about them, but you guys have found a way to tell a story about something that what are you talking about?
Okay, no, but I think here this is pure sensationalism and wanting to get viewers and like...
No, but it's extra. It's more than that. It is actually more than that, because there's one thing to be, even because like we bring people like Beyonce up. Beyonce only goes to the press when she's releasing something, right? When she's everybody right, when she's releasing something, when as in you'll see her press junket push out, like she's doing her tour now, there's a press push.
Yes,
everybody, this is the system. When you're releasing something, you do your press push, right?
Yes,
but between February, when he stopped the book tour, when he finished the book tour, the book was out already. Between February and just before the coronation, every fucking week Piers Morgan has a commentary on Harry and Meghan. Now, you cannot tell me that Harry and Meghan are pushing that shit in the press.
No, not at all.
It's a fucking royal.
But I think Piers Morgan just wants to make the buzz. And I think he's trash, by the way. I think Piers Morgan's trash. But I don't think that like it's the royal maybe agenda to make him talk about this every week. I doubt. I just think he just wants the sensation and wants the viewers. It's like comparing him to, you have very extremist journalists in the US. I don't know, Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson.
Right.
One of those, like, you can't even count them as journalism because they're so out of the box.
which is, I hear what you're saying, but at the end of the day, there's something like what Harry has explained about the royal press office. It makes sense to me. Like, it makes sense to me that there is a push for negative press around them. There's a funding of negative press around them.
Now, for sure, yes.
Because it does not make sense. Even after the book came out, he went quiet. We didn't hear from them. But somehow, these UK press people found a way to talk about them. There's a funding, right?
Today, I agree. But then again, his book was a freaking nuclear bomb against his family.
I mean, if your dad is doing that to you, I mean, from when you were 15, the people do worse. People do worse to their families.
People do. They do. You're right. They do worse. But I disagree with them, and I disagree with Harry. I disagree with all of them.
Fair enough. I mean, I hear you. I just...
No, I just think that there was a better way to have dealt with this. Like
what?
Do you remember, like, in the book, there's, like, passages where he reveals extremely private conversations?
Yeah, he was...
Like, think of all the times you have, like, had fights with your siblings or your parents. And can you imagine those private moments or things you said in the spur of the moment were now written about you? Like, oh, he pushed
It's
me in the
revenge, though.
kitchen and I
It's
fell on the
revenge.
dog bowl. And like I had
It's revenge. It's revenge. It's revenge. And you know what? At the end of the day, coming from their, again, I want to bring back their history of killing each other. I'm going to send you this video. Maybe I'll put an excerpt of what these people used to do to each other, you know, leading up to now.
William II is hunting in southern England one day. Disaster struck. His own noble killed him with an arrow. What's more, nobody even bothered to recover his body. They point fingers at William's younger brother Henry. He was a man in a hurry. He first secured the treasury in Winchester, then rushed to London and made himself king. Rumor is he had his elder brother killed. And the UK royal history is filled with such betrayals and murders. But as they say, what goes around comes around. Just ask Henry's great-grandson, King John, who took the throne in 1199. But he had a rival, his brother's son named Arthur. Guess what King John did to his 16-year-old nephew/rival? First, he ordered his eyes and genitals to be removed. It was so cruel, even the jailer refused. So the king took matters into his own hands. He personally murdered his nephew and threw his body into a river. Edward IV, great general, bad sibling. He grew suspicious of his brother George, the Duke of Clarence. By now you know where this is going. Edward imprisoned his brother and had him killed. Henry divorced 2 of his wives and executed 2 more. In fact, he had a thing for executions. In 36 years, he executed around 57,000 people. That's around 4 people per day. Elizabeth I. Her rivalry with Mary, the Queen of Scots, is legendary. Fun fact, Mary was also Elizabeth's cousin. Did not stop her from doing what she did, though. Elizabeth imprisoned Mary for 18 and a half years. Then in 1587, she was executed. It took 3 swings of the axe to behead her. And you thought Game of Thrones was bad.
So like now, of course, they can't be killing. You can't kill your brother to get the throne or kill your cousin to get the you can't do that now. But the toxicity that fosters within the family is so strong that they've passed it on from generation to generation. And even with Charles opening his mouth to say that, well, I had to deal with it, so you have to deal with it too. Not wanting to break that curse because now it's your turn to experience the pain that I have experienced. Any normal parent will want their children to live a better life than they did. But Charles is like, no, I got to experience the pain. Now it's your turn to experience it. But that's bullshit.
Kind of the royal family's existence, the royal family's existence is, how do you say, held on by a thread. And
yeah,
one of the reasons that they still exist is because they're not allowed to give an opinion at all. If they even think about an opinion, which is sad for them. I mean, it sucks for them because, like,
I mean, they're cursed. I think they're cursed.
No, they
when you think about what they've done in the world, what the evil that they've done in the world, it is no wonder that they are cursed from within with the toxicity that breeds within them. It's no wonder.
Yes. On that point, I 100% agree with you. But like, it's like, you know, when Meghan Markle, she told Oprah, like, she compared herself to the Little Mermaid, that I lost my voice and now I finally found my voice. You see, I get it, but I feel like when she says it, it's like to make her look good, even though it's
that's your bias. Everybody, that's the thing that you have not just you. The people have been conditioned to have a selective bias towards Meghan Markle because anybody that speaks out of their mouth wants to make themselves look better. Why do you have an Instagram? Why do you guys post yourself on the beach? Why do you guys, put a public image of yourself that makes you look better than you really are? Why are people kissing with their boyfriends on Instagram when you know that you just fought 5 minutes ago? So for me, like, why is that an issue that she's presenting herself? And why is that not, there's a dehumanization of her. Why is that not something that every single person does? Even me right now in this interview with you, I'm projecting an image of myself, based on how I want the world to see me. That's what we're doing right now. So why is it an issue that when Meghan does that?
But it's what you said. The royal family is cursed. They have to dehumanize themselves to still exist and just be human.
No, but there's an extra dehumanization of Meghan, and for me, it is because of her proximity to blackness. And a lot of people don't even understand or see it, who have fed into the media propaganda, right? They don't know, but at the end of the day, who is funding this backlash towards them? It's the white supremacist. It's the white supremacist structure. That's the only reason why in America it's only right-wing media that all of a sudden they hate her, because they have to, and Piers Morgan, they have to uphold white supremacy. But when you look at other people, we're just looking at this story face value. Okay, whatever. We just take her for, what she has to say.
You're right about the right wing because it furthers their agenda. I couldn't agree with you more. But like even people that, I don't know, like Chris Rock and South Park and people that are making fun of her that are not necessarily known to be right wing, like it's become a bit of a laughing stock, I feel.
Chris Rock is a freaking coon. Have you seen the video of him? Saying, letting people, some white guys say the N-word and laughing with them.
I haven't seen that video.
And being like no, he's a coon. Like at the end of the day, he panders to white people, so it makes sense that he would do that.
He's the blackest white guy I fucking know. And then all the negative things we think about black people, this fucker.
You're saying I'm a nigger.
Yes, you are the niggerest fucking white man I have ever.
I don't think he could do that.
Oh,
what?
I don't think he has those
there's
qualities.
only two. You don't really know him. Like I've worked with him.
No, like your bit about.
I wouldn't use it anywhere.
These two
We
use
say
that
nigger on stage.
on stage.
You guys don't. That's
Who
we
says
say,
nigger on stage? We don't.
Well, you just did.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
You and me say
No,
nigger
no,
in
no,
private.
no.
These two guys don't.
And now, I watch Emancipation just to see him get whooped. Got me rooting for Massa, okay? Hit him again, Massa! Hit him again! You missed the spot, Massa! You missed the spot!
These two guys don't.
Anyone that panders to white supremacy, like a Candace Owens, it's the same thing. They operate in the same space as a Tucker Carlson and a Meghan Kelly. They all operate in that same space, upholding white supremacy, right? So I haven't seen, if you tell me like, okay, somebody that's like even the New York City mayor, you heard about the guy that was strangled to death in the subway in New York City.
I heard the story.
So the mayor was basically siding with the white guy that strangled him. Ron DeSantis, who is the mayor of New York is black, and he's siding with the guy that strangled him. Ron DeSantis, they've raised $2 million for the white guy that killed. They've raised $2 million. Yes, white supremacists have raised $2 million to protect that man and said he's a good patriot of America.
That's disgusting.
So they are so overt with their white supremacy, but they deny it. That's the thing. So there's an agenda. When you hear people against Meghan Markle, just look at where are you standing? What side are you standing on? Because you'll see they just tend to be leaning towards conservatism, which is leaning towards white supremacy. Even Andrew Tate, like I won't call him a white supremacist or anything.
He's just
but
trash.
I'll say that sort of manosphere, traditional male views leans to the right wing as well. And it sits under the white supremacist patriarchy that they've built. So at the end of the day, I hear what you're saying, but a lot of us have to be very careful about where we get our media and what we allow us being influenced by in the media. And a lot of this hatred you might have towards Meghan Markle that people are watching this, it's not coming from you. It's coming from seeing 1,000 articles insulting her and also denying that they're racist. And in your mind, after hearing something 1,000 times, yeah, she's a terrible person. Oh my God. I'm just not, because I'm a person that works in the media, I'm just not going to be influenced by what I see. I'm literally 100% going to watch all this stuff and come to my own conclusion. Yeah. And for me, just looking at Meghan Markle as a human being, not dehumanizing her, just looking at her as a human, which is what she is, I can say, why is what she's doing any different in these different sectors than what you would do or what anyone will do? But when you dehumanize her, it's like, how dare she? Right. So, but anyway,
I personally feel, I think I formulated my opinion from the book and the series, which was put out there by them, and where I completely agree with you. And I feel like you are talking about the general issues of the world that are extremely important and they have to be tackled and things have to change because this stuff is absolutely disgusting and needs to change. I feel like I agree with you, and where I don't agree is at the level of herself and her own personal agenda. But then again, I don't actually know her. I don't know her personally, but I just feel like the way things were handled towards his family were just kind of disgusting in the personal relationships kind of way.
Which I hear you. I just think as an American who is living in America, I'm not going to look at her and say, she's done anything different than what any American would have done, even a white American woman. Every American would have done exactly what she did. There's a reason why the UK is not the superpower in the world and leaning on America's crutches, right? Leaning on America, their proximity to, their partnership with America rooted in white supremacy. That's their proximity to carry them, but at the end of the day, look, there's a reason why the UK is not a superpower, right? And being quiet is not going to push you through the storm when there's a bully, right? And the bully, as an American that thinks that you own the freaking world, America is the biggest bully in this world, the most corrupt country in this world. Like, you're not going to take bullshit. No, especially not in when you're from California, where it's extremely liberal. There's so many layers to this because I've lived in the UK, I've lived in California, I've lived in DC now, I've lived in New York, I've lived in all these places. So I understand the context and the mindsets from all these little pockets and the cultural clashes that they have. I understand it. And to me, I don't see that Meghan is doing anything that any American, especially not a California American girl, would do. She's not. And just because she happens to be black, in fact, a white American woman would even have been worse than her.
Yeah, no, a white woman would have been worse. Yes,
white American woman, she would have been worse than Meghan Markle. She would have ripped them a new asshole, had Karen'd her way out of that family. So it's interesting to me the selective outrage towards Meghan and the way that they're.
I did rip them a new asshole.
No, the white American woman, she would actually be on camera. It's like saying, "Oh my God, she'll be worse." Like, she wouldn't, Meghan is actually quiet. She's actually poised. A white American woman would have. But anyway. And because she's white, she would have been allowed a little leeway to, express herself fully. But it is what it is.
I get you. And I want to thank you because I feel like you educated me a lot, actually, on a lot of things that I didn't know about. Because I just think of the personal relationships between them. But the general issues are very real and they should be tackled. But
for sure. And I respect that there's a personal thing and we really don't know the dynamics of their personal relationships behind closed doors. We've gotten a peek of it from Harry exposing everything.
Exactly, yes.
Which, from someone that likes, tea, I love the tea. So, I'm grateful that he, exposed his family. And I know that there are three sides to every story.
Yes.
Yours, mine, and the truth.
Yes.
So unless we hear from Charles's side or William's side,
would never happen.
We don't really know. But more importantly, that's the way the world works. You haven't given us our side, so we're going to side. All of those of us that have read the book or that we're going to see what's his name side a little bit better. Harry's side.
Yeah.
Some of us, I've taken his side from reading his book.
I read the book
I understand his perspective.
and I'm completely against it. So.
Right. So the thing is, I need to understand William's side. That's really what I want to know.
Yes, me too.
Because I feel like we do know Charles. He's written a memoir before. He's written it, but we know his side, right? I feel like I know where Charles is coming from. I don't know where William is coming from in this, which I want to hear what the wrongs that Harry has done to him too, So.
Yeah, I
get it.
I couldn't believe that in the whole book, he had not admitted to a single mistake. He's also human, and they probably did their fair share.
That part was that. Yeah. It was a smear campaign. It was a
smear campaign. Do you remember the part where he says that him and his brother William had gone to visit Diana's graveside and they were mourning and they were talking and William says, "Oh, I wish Mom was here. She would have met Kate. She would have met my kids." And then Harry says, "Yes, and I think that she would have loved Meghan." And William replies, "Yeah, bro, I wouldn't take it that far."
Right.
You see, to have relayed such a private conversation, to me, that's where the line, it's wrong.
And especially you don't know what he meant by that. You don't know if he was joking.
Yeah.
And you're not even married to her at that point, so you don't know what he, But yeah, there's a lot of victimhood in Harry. There was definitely an assassination towards William, which I empathize with, and I am actually curious to know William's side.
Yeah, in school when he shaved, they asked him to shave his head or what. I ran to Willie's room and he was like, "Don't come into my room, pretend you don't know me." Why are you making William look so bad, like a 15-year-old? I don't know whether it's true or not.
which is fine. Like sibling, I didn't like as someone that has siblings, I know that we won't agree on a lot of things, right?
Me too.
But it's not like it doesn't mean that my sibling is a terrible person just
Exactly.
because we don't agree on things. Like we just see the world differently.
No,
It's just,
with siblings,
that's
you
just
can
what it
yell
is,
at
right?
each other, like insult
Yeah.
each other, and then be best friends 30 minutes later. It's the way it is.
Yeah, but the thing is, one thing I do want to mention is that as much as he did that, he also acknowledged that William was also a victim
Right.
in the system. He acknowledged that. So it's not like, it wasn't as though, I did not see it as though it was like him against them. He made it very clear that he and Willie had their own negative dynamic. And in fact, to me, it even appeared as though he is Charles's favorite son. Because
Really?
Charles, to me, from what I read, Charles has a rivalry with William, a jealousy of the heir, right?
Because William is so much more popular than Charles.
And handsome, right? So if anything, like there's that's the dynamic that is actually interesting to me, like with William and Charles, because there seems to be a rivalry there.
For sure.
The same type of rivalry that Harry has. And you know what? Someone that understands, like, if you're the favorite child, the other siblings are naturally going to be jealous of you.
No,
That's just going to be, that's natural. So to me, from what I read, it just looks as though, like, and he didn't acknowledge that he was his dad's favorite, like, but to me, all the darling boys and all his dad never came at him. But the irony is that it's always the one that is the last born that is spoiled and never gets the lashing, that, just acts like a spoiled brat. So, because William would never have been able to get away with doing that.
Exactly.
But Harry got away with doing it. And so, but at the end of the day, and Charles is still saying, okay, could come to my coronation, because I think that it's very clear to me that, to me, at least from what I've read, that William and what's his name, back then, because they were both heirs, had a competition. Now that he's fully in his position as king, and William is now, still heir, is a different dynamic. But before, he wasn't in that position, right? He put William out of work. He almost made him look lazy so that they wouldn't call him lazy.
Yeah.
Right?
And they tell him, like, stop doing conservation work in Africa. That's my thing, and stuff like that.
Yeah. So to me, from what I read, it just seemed as though Charles was having that dynamic with William, and William took it out on Harry.
It's possible.
It took out the jealousy, and it's almost like he's a product of his environment. He was told that this is how he's supposed to act with the jealousy. So, yeah, well, I'm jealous of you too, right? I don't know. The dynamic is interesting there.
The dynamic is probably fucked up. Like, so many families with so many fucked up dynamics, they just have the world stage of the royal family that we won't have.
They have to work together, because you can have a toxic dynamic with your family, but you don't have to work with them.
Correct.
So so I just have to deal with you on a personal level. But this is like personal and business.
Yes.
So that's the extra layer of toxicity, and everything about my person is in the business and my positioning and all these things, right? So I hear you. I hear you, and I understand why he had to do what he had to do. I really enjoyed reading the book. I thought it was great. I want a sequel from him.
I'm sure he says that he has enough material for a second book.
I'm ready to. I'm a consumer. I will be reading that.
Me too.
I would love for William to write something, because I think that the world wants to hear your side.
Yeah, it won't happen, but I wish.
He actually would save his kid. Well, no, it looks like they've done a good job with the PR to uphold the family. But Charles,
that family
I don't
is hanging
understand,
on by a thread.
But Charles wrote a book, so why is it an issue? What now that Harry writes a book? When Charles wrote a book, he didn't expose his family, but he wrote a memoir.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all interesting. We shall see.
But I want to thank you, Kenan, because you always educate me on, like, everything that's happening in America and stuff that I don't know about. So thank you for that.
No, for sure. Thank you for coming on, Tatiana. Very fruitful discussion to hear your perspective. I hope I didn't overtalk you too much and I let you.
No, it was incredibly interesting, as always, really.
All right. Thank you.
Oh.
And see you next time.
See you next time.
Well, there you have it. That was so dramatic. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Whose side are you on? What do you think about sort of the whole, the how important do you think the white supremacist angle is to the Harry and Meghan situation? I know some people might watch this and just think, oh my God, you think everything is about white supremacy? Oh my God. But that is the foundation and the fabric of capitalism. It's the foundation and the fabric of the society that we live in. And we're almost taught to make it look, or we're almost taught to unsee it. We're taught for it's designed to be invisible, and that's why I make an effort calling it out. It's like having invisible rats in your house and saying you're not going to call it out, but all your food keeps going disappearing. No, there are rats in your house, so address it. And that's how I'm addressing white supremacy. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with some of my assertions? Do you disagree? Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. You're watching The Ken Mo Show, and I'm your host, Ken Mo, and see you next time. A peace.